Now here's Ted with his test of the Passport Optima.
I suppose if they keep trying, Passport will get it right eventually, but as it sits now, the Daewoo Optima is far behind the competition.
The problem is execution. There's not a whole lot wrong with the actual design of the Optima. It's based on the German-built Opel Kadett, which is still regarded as one of the best all-round European compact sedans made. Opel is the European arm of General Motors, and the connection between it and Korean manufacturer Daewoo, which is also owned in part by GM, seems like a natural one. But something's been lost in the translation. The Optima is a poorly built, improperly finished econobox that has almost nothing in common with its European counterpart. I've driven at least 3 different versions of this car over the past few years, and they've all been a disappointment. This LS 4-door sedan is a little better than the others, but it still runs rough, handles badly, and has perhaps the worst suspension I've ever encountered. Driving it over a rough road is an exercise in frustration, and you practically need a kidney belt. Even on flat pavement, the suspension is harsh and soft at the same time, and feels like it's ready to fall off the car. During any kind of spirited cornering, it bottoms out easily and does not inspire you with confidence. The engine, although powerful enough, is loud and stroppy and could use some refining. It displaces 2 liters and has throttle body fuel injection. Power output is 96 horsepower at 4,800 RPM, and 2 transmissions are offered, 5-speed manual and 3-speed automatic. Our test car had the 3-speed auto box. Fuel consumption is a reasonable 10.1 liters per 100 kilometers, or 28 miles per gallon in the city, and 7.2 liters per 100 kilometers, or 39 miles per gallon on the highway. Brakes are front disc, rear drum. And the price tag for our LS, with automatic and air conditioning, comes to $15,630, manufacturer's suggested list price. Now, the problem that I have with that is that the same amount of money will get you any one of several similar automobiles that beat the Optima hands down in every department. For example, the dashboard setup in the Optima is a good one, with well-placed controls and a handy bin over the glove box, but things don't fit properly. Always a sure sign of quality control problems. The same applies to body integrity. The car just doesn't feel well put together. It's not a matter of the Optima being a bad car per se, but more of it not being a good one. One nice surprise is the trunk, which has a healthy 520 liters of space in it, and, surprise, a full-size spare tire. In fact, the Optima is quite well equipped. It comes standard with child-proof door locks, folding rear seat, front door map pockets, daytime running lights, and a roof luggage rack mount provision. These are all very European features, and I'm glad to see that Daewoo has retained them. Now, if only they could emulate Opel's quality control. Lots of competition in this market segment. The Mazda 323 Protege are strong rivals, as are the new Toyota Tercel, Honda Civic Sedan, Nissan Sentra, Volkswagen Fox, Isuzu iMark, Ford Escort, and Mercury Tracer.
What can I say except don't buy this car?
You can be frank, Ted. You don't like this, do you?
I like it.
Well, I agree when you say it's a good concept. It's got lots of excellent features, and it's practical, but it's very poorly executed. I get the impression that, and the drivetrain is particularly bad. I agree with you there. I get the impression that Opel gave them the ball to run with, and they did all these strange things with it, and I think Opel have probably washed their hands with it by now, because the European versions, one of which is also made by Vauxhall in the UK, are very good cars.
This is what they should have done. If they're going to bring that model in, and as I said, nothing wrong with it, bring it in from Europe. It might be a bit more expensive, but it'll be properly done. This thing should be, if it was like $9,000, $10,000, I could maybe see it, but this is almost 16 grand. Come on, I mean, any other one of the Japanese cars that blows it out of the water, it's not even close to the Honda Civic.
It's got very expensive. I don't know quite why, because we've praised some Korean products before on the show.
Sure.
Hyundai, for example, they do a very good job.
Yeah.
Right. But this one is just badly put together, and I get the impression that they just didn't have enough of those Opel engineers on hand in the first place to see that the thing went together properly, because originally when I looked at these cars originally at Expo 86, I think, in Vancouver, and they had some on display at General Motors Pavilion, and to show the kind of cars that were coming along, and we all thought they'd come from Europe, and I admired them at the time, but they came from a manufacturer who has something to learn, I think.
I've driven 3 different models of this car, the hatchback and then 2 sedans, and the first time I had it last year, 89, the key would not shut the ignition off. I drove the car home, parked it, took the key out, and the engine kept running. And that was just the least of the problems. The suspension, I don't know how they've managed to make a suspension that bounces around but is yet hard at the same time. They should be congratulated for doing it. It's appallingly
bad. It has
bad.
everything that's bad about a suspension. How bad can it get?
Real bad.
But for features, it's excellent. And there's adjustable height seat belts. You don't find that in cars that cost $50,000.
That doesn't compensate for an inherently bad automobile.
Well, it doesn't.
Features are fine, but this is, I mean, this car is going to be in the shop half the time. I can see it
Hopefully.
now.
Well, I don't know about that. I haven't heard too many problems from people.
Well, anyway, we didn't like the car. I didn't like the car. And to wrap up, why not? Everything. Fit and finish is part of it, but assembly quality, this is just not well put together. On the other hand, yes, you get a lot of features for the money, big trunk, and there's a full-size spare tire. Of course, I like that. As far as driving dollar value goes, I give it a quarter of a tank, only because to give it an empty tank would be kind of cruel.
Stay with us.